All right, hi, I'm Judson Powell, and welcome to the broadcast. Please subscribe to my channel, hit like if you like the video, and please share it with your friends if it is of interest. All right. So today I want to talk about the Congressional Black Caucus. All right, and now back when I was a little bit younger, I actually had a friend that worked there. And so I used to attend a lot of their parties and all that kind of stuff. And it was a good time. Don't get me wrong. We had a great time. But here's the thing about and this is what I think right now. And this is basically my opinion of most so-called African Americans, so-called black people here in America. And especially the ones that are politicians and that have positions of power and authority and all that, like senators and congresspeople and all that kind of stuff. The problem that I'm having right now is the fact that nobody is really doing anything as far as our problems are concerned. And there's really no legislation that's being brought. We have hearing after hearing after hearing. In fact, I think our government is basically broken from what I learned about government while I was in law school, while I was in undergrad. I mean, people who are legislatures are supposed to what? Write and make laws. That's your job. Your job is to write and to make laws and to change laws and to do things that are necessary in order to run the government and also to listen to the people, because we'd have a representative democracy. So you're supposed to be up there representing us. But we got all of these problems, especially as black people. We got police brutality. I mean, every day on the internet, you cannot go on the internet without seeing somebody on the internet that's getting beat up, arrested unlawfully, whatever, by a police officer. And of course, none of these cases, and then we supposedly have, black prosecutors or whatever, but none of these cases end up getting prosecuted. Or put it this way, they may get prosecuted, but none of them end up in a conviction, which, if you don't get a conviction, then, why do it? Because they're getting away with murder. So we got problems like that. The next thing is we need legislation on the Electoral College. We know that Hillary Clinton beat Donald Trump by 3 to no matter who you hear or who you listen to, right? It was like 3 or 4 million votes in the popular vote. People nowadays don't need an Electoral College. Back in the day, there was a reason to have the Electoral College because information was slow to spread. There weren't that many printing presses. There weren't that many people who were able to disseminate information, and things could get twisted and convoluted. But now that's not true. I mean, news is literally, everybody's got a phone. If you got a phone, you got the news right there in the palm of your hand. You can find it, or you can Google or whatever search engine you use, and you can get information like right in your hand. You got literally an entire library of information sitting right there in your hand. So there's no reason for the Electoral College. So there needs to be legislation introduced to get rid of it, right? Because that's how they we had the hanging chads and all of this stuff. The last 2 elections that Republicans actually won, they stole. They never won them. Al Gore, beat Bush, and certainly, Hillary beat Trump. But who do we have for president? We had Bush, and of course now we got Trump. So, and of course we know Bush's record. Bush was the worst, probably financially and economically, he was the worst president in the history of the country. Nice guy, don't get me wrong, he's a nice guy, but he wasn't no president. And Trump is not even a nice guy, and he's president. This man has 22 sexual allegations against him. He's colluded with other countries. He, for all we know, he had the Russians interfere with the election too, so he could win the election. I mean, that's worse than what Richard Nixon did in Watergate. But he's not being impeached. No Democrat has introduced proceedings or introduced the proper paperwork in order so that they can start impeachment proceedings against him. I don't care what you got. And I am sure that even at this point, if they would have done it a long time ago, there would have been Republicans that would have been on their side. So it ain't even a bipartisan thing. It's a y'all just not doing nothing. So why are you up there? If you're not going to do anything, why are you up there? And the same thing. So, those are just a couple of issues. So we got the Electoral College. We got all of this police brutality. We got people being unlawfully sentenced. Just like there needs to be a law, and I think they might have introduced this, but there needs to be a law about all these marijuana convictions. Marijuana is pretty much legalized or decriminalized pretty much all over America. So there should be laws where those people that went to jail because of marijuana convictions, their records should be expunged. Okay, they shouldn't be going. And then because you got people out here making millions of dollars and billions, in fact billions of dollars, selling marijuana legally, and these people are still in jail, and that ain't right. The other thing is, and then the way the opioid crisis is being treated. When it was crack cocaine, they locked everybody up. Now that it's opioids, the taxpayers, we are paying the money so that they can have treatment and rehabilitation and recovery and all that. Why? Because it's a white problem. It's not a black problem. If it was all black people on opioids, guess what? It would be a whole entirely different story. So we need to look at those things. But hey, if y'all up there, y'all in the Congressional Black Caucus, I don't care. You got to introduce legislation. You got to fight stuff. You got to fight it in the courts. You got to fight it however you can. But everybody's just up there, like my grandfather used to say, wearing their silk stockings, walking around looking cool, and you're popular in your district. Of course you're popular, because it has to do a lot with just kinship, the fact that they look at you and you look like them. But if you up there and you ain't doing nothing for them, then what good is having a representative democracy? And yeah, you might not have the overwhelming numbers, but you still got to keep on pushing your agenda. Because if you don't push your agenda, you can best believe your white supremacist slave master is not going to push it for you. They're not going to push no agenda for black folks. They not. That's why you're up there. That's why they elected you. But if all you're going to do is go to banquets and cookouts and say a few words and smile and kiss babies, that ain't nothing. That ain't nothing. So that's all I'm saying. So you got to understand that everything out here is for a reason. It's for a reason. And those are some of the legislations that just need to be, just like they introduce a bill, and I mentioned this in one other broadcast. It's like, okay, you introduce a bill about lynching, but lynching is already illegal. What you need to do is you need to introduce some things that are going to set up maybe a task force to go after some of these people and stop letting them walk around free. There's never, whenever anything goes on, there's never an investigation. Just like all the rigmarole that went on about Colin Kaepernick kneeling, there was more stuff going on. Everybody had an opinion, everybody got a comment, but nobody got a comment or an opinion about none of this stuff. Some people do, but it's like, that's your job. Do your job. And that's why when people ask me, and they've been asking me, I've been getting flooded with questions about the whole Kamala Harris thing. It's like the reason why, it's like, what has she done? Okay, she was a prosecutor, she was the attorney general, but that's all. You got cops bringing you people and you putting them in jail and locking them up. And she ran on the platform of tough on crime, which everybody black knows is black code, black speak, white supremacist speak, whatever you want to call it, for lock up black people. It started in the Reagan administration. We're tough on crime. Like I said, the whole Willie Horton thing, all of that, you got to come at us with something different. And if you are going to go up there, we should not stop voting for people that ain't going to do nothing for us. That's our entire problem. We keep on, we get the person that we like or whatever, or, that's what we got with Obama. But in the final analysis, how much did Obama really do for African Americans? And then when you bring up the fact that, well, he's not really a descendant of slaves. He's not an American descendant of slaves. He's not. So he hasn't had the same experiences, and he hasn't had the same stories told to him and his family, and all these things that have been passed down in your family. he doesn't know any of that. So he doesn't really have a dog in the hunt. And neither does Kamala. She don't have a dog in this hunt. You know why? Because that's not her reality. And then she talks about her parents and stuff, but her parents were not in that kind of oppression. And her parents' weren't in that kind of oppression. So they don't have a clue. But if my grandparents were still alive, they could tell you some horrific stories about stuff that went down. You understand what I'm saying? So it's an entirely different ball game. And the other thing is, we need somebody, in my opinion, we need somebody that could win and beat Trump. And it's not now, and I said this before, it's not time for a novice, who's controversial to be the candidate. That's not what you need. You need somebody who's tried and true, boom, who can win. And that's just to get Trump out of there. Other than that, you don't have it. And like I said, Trump should be out of there now anyway. He shouldn't even make it to the election. Why don't the people in the Congressional Black Caucus get together and put the impeachment papers on his behind right now? Why are y'all waiting? And the country would back you up. Most of the people in the country don't like Trump. And then you could say, to me, that would be a huge feather in anybody's cap. Kamala, if you want to really show your leadership ability, then start the impeachment proceedings against Donald Trump. Start calling some witnesses. We have hearings about we had hearings about reparations. The hearings about reparations weren't nothing. Y'all didn't bring no African American descendants of African American. You didn't bring nobody to Capitol Hill that was like that. Y'all brought Danny Glover, an actor. I mean, I ain't mad at Danny Glover, but come on, y'all, really? Every time something goes down that's political or that has anything to do with intellect or anything like that, y'all bring actors and rappers. Really? Actors and rappers? When we got black scholars out here that got information, and why didn't y'all invite Dr. Claude Anderson? This brother is brilliant. This brother knows about the situation. He knows the politics. He knows why we deserve what we deserve. But y'all don't want a brother like that on Capitol Hill. And the people in the Congressional Black Caucus, y'all ain't like that either. Y'all ain't up there making voice for African Americans, so-called African Americans or so-called black people in America. That's not what you're doing. Be honest. You just want to keep your cushy job, and then now everybody black, Kamala and Cory Booker, y'all sitting up there because y'all think because Obama was president that they just gonna elect you president, and it ain't true. It's in fact, anything could be further from the truth. Like I said yesterday, y'all heard what Mitch McConnell said. We gave y'all a black president, and that, you know what that basically boils down to? We gave y'all a black president. We ain't giving y'all nothing else. So you got to get in there and fight. If you ain't gonna get in there and fight, then what you up there for? Turn the seat over to somebody else. And the only one that's not afraid to open their mouth is Maxine Waters, and y'all don't even support her half the time. I mean, come on, y'all, be real. Back in the day, we had people up there that was willing to stick their neck out. Right now, ain't nobody up there willing to stick their neck out. They just not. They're not. And until people are ready to stick their neck out and try to fight for people's rights, like I said, it's a representative democracy. And as our representatives, you owe it to the people. You owe it to African Americans and African people. In fact, you owe it to the country, because racism, white supremacy, all of that is detrimental to the country. It's not just detrimental to black people, it's detrimental to the country. People all around the world see what goes on here. And they have opinions, and they have strong opinions about what happens. That's why a lot of people, and now that Trump is in office, a lot of people won't do business with us, won't even, look at us as a laughing stock. When was the last time a sitting president, has been like a laughing stock in England? Think about it. File those impeachment papers. Get busy, do something, but stop sitting around acting like you're trying to do something when you're not. Anyway, that's it. That's my 15 minutes. I love y'all all. Hit the like button, subscribe to my channel. I love you. Bye-bye.